Hello people out there, this is Lucien Lecam, your crypto educator. This video is about Bitcoin mining and why it is sustainable. Yes, I believe it's sustainable and I'm gonna give you some arguments why it is. I used to believe it was not sustainable. Last year, 1.5 years ago, I discovered Bitcoin mining, I researched it, and I was reading some blogs, and these blogs were saying, man, in 2020 it's going to use half of America's energy consumption. In 2025 it's like half of the world's energy consumption. Is terrible, it's not green, it's not sustainable. And I kind of believed those stories. And so now it is kind of surfacing that many of those articles that I've read like 1 year ago are coming from one source, one man calling himself a scientist and doing a blog or an article about Bitcoin mining and the energy consumption. He's called Meneer De Vries. I think he's Dutch, I'm not sure. And now some other researchers have gone through his assumptions, and basically most of it is just not true. There's no data backing up those arguments. So apart from those stories that actually have been taken over by The Guardian, by The Economist, by different platforms, just like without any research from those journalists, and that's been spread throughout the community and the world without any real fact checks, I think it's time to kind of, look at some interesting developments and some real truth, and also, of course, some of this is based on my own arguments and beliefs, because the thing with Bitcoin is we don't know exactly what's going to happen with Bitcoin, and there's not any research done up till now into the long-term effects and the long-term energy consumption. What we know though is two very important things. First of all, what is Bitcoin actually doing for the world? And apart from being a system of exchange, a borderless system, a digital money, like censorship resistant, it's neutral, and it's bringing the opportunity for a lot of people that are unbanked to use a new way of money. It's bringing really a lot of good to the world in its intention and into being a decentralized platform. So this decentralized network needs energy. The value of Bitcoin is mainly derived by the energy consumption it takes to mine, to solve the puzzle. So I want to use in this video two main pillars of kind of proving or bringing forward why Bitcoin is sustainable for the long run. We are looking at the long run. We're looking for the next 15, 20 to 30 years. And one of this first pillar is the store of value. If we believe and if we take the assumption that Bitcoin is going to be the new store of value for digital money, that is a huge value in itself. You can compare that with gold. Gold has been the store of value for money, which has been released in 1946 by the Federal Reserve, with the result that banks are, from that moment on, were able to print money out of nothing. And that money got that was cut loose from a real value, being gold, and that has led to only for the last 10 years a increase of the printing of money of I think $170 trillion, which is creating this huge debt culture and is creating the cycles of economic crisis in the world. So with the new occurrence of the digital money, there is also needed a store of value, and Bitcoin is going to provide that store of value because there's a max cap. There's 21 million Bitcoins mined in 2140, and the value of Bitcoin is mostly derived from that cap limit of Bitcoins and the electricity that it costs basically to mine. That's value, that's real world value. So that's one thing to understand of the principles of the ecosystem of Bitcoin. So if you look at this, the store of value function, why is that important? When there is no real backup of a real value of digital currencies, it means you can start to, let's say, print them out or mine them out of nothing as well. So they basically, they would use their value on the long run. So you can, at the end, like most cryptocurrencies, can be related to the store of value of Bitcoin. So that value in itself is worth a lot of energy input. So the reward of the energy we use now for mining Bitcoin will be that store of value, which is hugely high valuable. So that's one argument. The other argument is that Bitcoin mining is borderless. You can bring your mining equipment to the places where energy is very cheap, for example in Reykjavik or Finland, or you bring it to the Africa Sahara Desert where there's a lot of wind in certain places, and maybe somebody was putting up a solar panel field there. They had their investment plan for the next 10 years to sell the energy to the local villages. Now you come there as a miner and you say, give me that energy for the next 2 years and you're done. I've paid you all your investments back. This is what's happening actually. And if you look at China, like most of the mining in China is done in the province of Sichuan. I think about 70% of the mining in China is done there by hydropower. So the use of actually sustainable energy source. And these people there, they were creating a lot of extra energy. They're creating a surplus of energy that couldn't be used because you can't ship, or it's very expensive to transport energy. There are not really amazing, like good batteries yet to transport those batteries with extra energy to places where there's less energy. So, you know, like the miners will move to green energy. The miners will move to energy where the energy is cheap. And in those places where there's this oversupply of energy, it now is used by mining. Otherwise, it would just be gone, you know, because solar panel fields and hydropower, that energy is just produced. And when it's not used, it's just basically gone. So in that way, already you see that Bitcoin mining can be very sustainable because it will automatically move to the places where energy is cheap and in less density populated places where the energy would just drip away, and it would now be used by mining. So that's one aspect of the sustainability of Bitcoin mining that is often overlooked. There's another example of a startup in Austria, for example, that uses old abandoned windmills, and the cooling is done by the water coming from the mountain. So that's another example where the miners will just intelligently move to the places where there's cheap energy and it's not used at all. And now it's used. So that energy that was already there is just used to create a store of value for the future, for our future backup of digital currencies. So I think those are the two main aspects that are mostly overlooked and are really important to understand that Bitcoin is sustainable. And the other aspect is that energy is a free market. So energy is produced, and the way people buy or entrepreneurs buy energy is really up to them. It's really up to the market how to use that energy. So like it seems that Bitcoin mining is actually profitable, and these people just decide to build those mining, buildings or equipment and use that energy because they see it's profitable. And maybe another thing not to forget is that there's the halving of Bitcoin, so the reward of mining Bitcoin gets less and less, so you get less reward. So people will actually look for cheaper and cheaper energy, thus more sustainable and green energy, because that's cheaper energy. So that's another effect that will take place for the coming years, that also there has to be less and less Bitcoin mined until 2040 because of the halving of the reward. Less and less Bitcoin have to become into existence, or less and less energy will be used, and that energy that is used will be more and more green and sustainable. So this whole myth about Bitcoin not being sustainable and using half of the world's population's energy is just is fake. And I would recommend you to read the link of the article I put under this video to back up those facts with some real world research. Thank you for watching this video. And actually, next one will be shorter again, but I think this subject is so important that we all understand that Bitcoin is sustainable and is doing a lot of good for this world. Thank you very much.